Yeah, this is my town.
Welcome to this segment of Freshen Up. Today I have with me Jerry Edney, Senior Vice President of Perishables, and we're going to talk about produce. I think this is a real area where we can put those small box formats to shame. I've seen the stores, I've seen what our retailers do, and I think that we'll be heads above them. But what's your observations, Jerry?
You know, when you go into these new formats, and produce is the first thing catches your eye when you walk in. It's a limited variety. The quality is less than par for the most part. The pricing, they do have pricing. The pricing is similar to what we see in a Walmart Supercenter. Mm-hmm. But it's just very, very limited variety, and the quality is, like I said, less than par.
So, for the folks out there that are thinking about their produce departments, what are some key points that you want them to take away? And we've got some really good stuff in the video. I think Joe Day did an awesome job of his video. But what's some big hitters that you want to make sure that they take away?
Well, I think above all the perishable departments, produce is probably the one that's going to be the where we can create the most difference between us and the competition. The stores need to focus in on freshness, quality, have a clean department, focus in on customer service. You know, that's something that's missing in the other stores. Displays are paramount. When you go into the store, you ought to be able to see right off the bat what season it is. Whether it's local grown produce, whether it's event truckload sales, tent truckload sales, you just need to make an example as soon as you walk in the stores.
So we've got limited space in these stores, and everybody's going to be fighting for that first impression. Why do you think it should be produce versus maybe some grocery displays?
Well, I think produce is our point of difference. What we can do on produce with all the offerings we have to change out those displays on a weekly basis, and it just adds to the whole shopping experience. When you walk into the store and you see this beautiful produce display when you first walk in, I think it just sets the tone for the rest of the shopping experience.
I think fresh products is going to be the real point of difference. You know, that's what I see is they are not going to be good at fresh, no different than we've seen with the big box formats forever. So I think our teams are really going to be out there to support them, and I think there's some great information in this video. Let's take a look.
Hi, my name is Joe Day. I'm a category manager in the produce department at AWG. Welcome to the Freshen Up project in the produce segment. One of the things that we always want to talk about in the produce department is fresh is king. Always make sure that your displays are fresh, crisp, and that the product that's out is something your customer wants to buy. It's the only way, it's the most important actually of any of the things about produce. More important than price, more important than variety, more important than the size of your display is how fresh your product is. It's what makes your customer want to buy. Anytime you want to freshen up your produce department, make your first call to your AWG produce department and ask for your specialist to come to your store. He's an expert in your market. He's a pro when it comes to this department. He's going to know the competition. He's going to know the season. He'll help you a lot. These guys are in helping us re-merchandise this department today. But they'll come in and help you evaluate your equipment needs and the things that you need to do first to be successful on a Freshen Up program. Anytime you talk about freshen up your department, one of the key things that's easily overlooked is sanitation. You want to make sure that you have a weekly routine of cleaning this case. That means you're going to wipe down the front, you're going to take the product off the case and clean it all the way down to the pans. If you'll develop a routine of doing that on the same day every week, make a schedule of this department and clean a section every week. Make sure that's important because it's important to your customer. The water that comes into this case will congeal in the bottom and cause a smell that you don't want in your department. And your customers notice if you keep these pans cleaned out, if you keep the case wiped down. You notice on this case we don't have any random pieces of tape. It's all important, and it helps make your produce department look that much fresher. Believe me, it's important to your customer. One of the things that many of the deep discounters don't take into consideration is locally grown produce. And AWG does a great job with keeping locally grown produce available for all of our members. We've got locally grown tomatoes and peppers today, some squash out here. It's well signed, it's the front display, and it's that important to your customer. We also have a great signage program for that. These are locally grown watermelons. We have a locally grown watermelon sign out right by the display that explains to your customer, this is a Taylor Family Farms watermelon. It tells you how long, fourth generation farmers I might add. It's a really important part of your produce department and you should all take advantage of it when you can. Now that's obviously not a year-round program, but we've got cantaloupes, watermelons, all the veg items up front. It's something you need to take advantage of. One of the most important components of any merchandising plan is your signage. You want to make sure that your feature signage is clear and concise. Your customer understands what you're the message you're trying to get across, I should say. We have the Taylor Family Farms signage that we talked about earlier, but it goes all the way to this. When you see these signs, you understand what the price is, what the product is, how much the cost of it is. Make sure everything has a sign on it. Your feature signage should be on every ad item. And then make sure that your cool labeling is accurate too. That's an important part of produce. If you don't understand that, get with your AWG specialist and they'll explain it to you. When we talk about pricing in the produce department, some very important key things that you need to remember. Always know what your competition is. And you always have to be competitive on the key items that every customer knows the price of. Watermelons are a great example. That's a seasonal item, it's high volume, and it's a common ad item every other week sometimes in many produce departments. But the things you really have to focus on, bananas, 10-pound russets, maybe 5-pound russets in your market, salad mix, grapes, those are all things that your customer knows day in, day out, what a value is, and whether you're competitively priced or not. Those are very important items. Make sure you know what your competition is every day. Another important facet of produce, what season is it? Your customer should be able to tell what season it is as soon as they walk in these doors. This store's done a great job of showing us what season it is. The first thing we see as we walk in, homegrown slicing tomatoes, homegrown squash, and homegrown peppers. From this angle, without an ad or anything else, they should be able to tell it's summertime. We've got watermelons on display, we've got homegrown cantaloupes, large peach displays, large grape displays. Those are going to tell your customer where the value is this week without ever having an ad in their hand. In the produce department, one of the important things that you want to focus on is value added, because it's important to your customer. This is a great value added case. Obviously the door helps a lot in maintaining freshness and the integrity of the temperature. But there's a lot of value-added products in this case in very little space. He's got everything from the value-added salads, ready-to-go guacamoles, salsas, all the items that your customer looks for that are maybe not on their list, but the impulse is what we're looking for in the produce department. We also have a Cool Creations program in this division, but a value-added cut fruit and vegetable program is an important thing to any produce department. You don't have to have a 12-foot, 5-deck section of it to say that you have value-added produce. If you have a few pre-cut watermelons that are over-wrapped, it's a great value item for your customer. They'll pick those up, and there's also a really good margin involved in those. Everyone understands there's high shrink involved in value-added produce, but if you don't have it out, your customer will buy it somewhere else. Sampling. That's one of the most important parts of any produce department. It's a salesman that works every time. They have watermelons ready to go here. They're on a nice bed of ice. They have toothpicks in them so that they're sanitary, and a place to throw your toothpick when you're done so you don't litter the floor. Anytime you can get your customer to taste something in a produce department, you're almost guaranteed to have a sale. If you see someone looking at these grapes, give them an opportunity to try one. Just pull one off and give it to them. Or if you see someone looking at these peaches, take out a knife and cut them a bite. It'll almost always generate a sale. But a good question is, can your customer tell who your employees are? Do they have a clear name tag on? Do they have a shirt or an apron that lets your customer know who they need to ask questions of? A lot of them want to know how to prepare, how to pick out a good cantaloupe. And that should be something you educate your employees on as much as you can. If you can't do it yourself, send them to the internet. It's a great wealth of knowledge about how to pick out the right kind of produce. When you're talking about your merchandising plan for the produce department, there's a lot of powerful tools for you to work with at AWG. We have a Pick 5 produce program. This is 5 for $9.99. Mix or match any items that you want. We have rolls of these stickers. You can put 3-count pre-cut corn in here. There are all kinds of things that a produce manager can come up with that will make you money, but there's a lot of powerful tools that maybe not pick 5. Maybe the web blast is something that you use in your store. That comes out every 2 weeks in the produce department, and you'll always find powerful value items for your customer. Make sure you watch that every week and take advantage of the buys that are on it. Your sales floor starts right here in your parking lot. There are a lot of outdoor events you can do that have to do with the produce department. We have hatch chilies, we have outdoor bin events, tent sales. There are so many things that you can do in a parking lot that you just can't do inside the store. Make sure that you've got, in the season, mums and pumpkins out. That's a really important part of produce merchandising. That's an impulse sale that most customers are looking for at that time of year. Here's a small example. Every store can have dozen roses under $10 from AWG every week. We've got a great bouquet program. Make sure that you've got a couple of offerings. $4.99 is a great price point, but up to $10. Those impulse sales are what make the top line that much better for the owner of the store. An important thing to do anytime you have new competition is capitalize on being here first, being the hometown store. Stick with what got you here. Make sure that you have the friendliest stores, a competitive price, the kind of quality and variety that your customers expect. Clean stores are a given. Focus on everything in your produce department, from the floor to the mirrors to the cases. Make sure you focus particularly on weekends and prime time between 4 and 7 p.m. when your store is always going to be busy. Be ready. Make sure those consistent high standards that your customers expect are what you expect.
Yeah.